Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode number 28 of Lead to Greatness, where we believe in helping others reach their greatest potential, and together we can change the world. Today on Lead to Greatness, we have Dominick Rose. Dominick Rose have over 20 years experience in sales. On today, you will hear knowledge bomb after knowledge bomb on the power of sales. Dominick discussed the pivoting point of his life when he went from just selling to now building relationships. So help me welcome Dominick Rose.
This is Cedric Francis, and you're listening to Lead to Greatness.
One of the things that I took from my mother as an adult that I saw as a kid is, if not once a week, every other week, she would invite some of the ladies over from different churches, all from different denominations, right? And they'd sit there for sometimes 2, 3, 4 hours at a time, just discussing, their philosophies, their faiths, their beliefs, just to gain more understanding of one another. And later as an adult, man, I've always tried to surround myself with, on occasion, people that I don't see eye to eye with, because sometimes those are the best experiences. You can learn the most.
That's
You
awesome.
get a different perspective.
Right.
It makes life interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, to make a little extra money as a kid, man, my mom, she ran an in-home daycare.
Mm-hmm.
And this was 30 years ago, a little longer. And so, she was able to get away with having, 15, 20 kids in the house, right? But one of the things that, I didn't realize it at the time, but I pride myself on it now as a parent. None of the kids look like me. Like to be honest, man, I was the only white boy in the room. Like she did everybody, man.
Right.
And, I just kind of grew up that way, where you don't want to walk out and where everybody looks like you and thinks like you and believes like, it just makes a boring life.
Yeah.
And so I was just always in environments, man, where it just became normalized.
Yeah.
Learn from other people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, man, that's definitely it's good for, that happened to you. And man, I was raised up in the Black community, and that's all I knew.
Okay.
So man, I had one perspective, man, until I went to the military. So I mean, I'm really thankful, I joined the military at 19 years old, man. It changed my perspective on race. I mean, I'm talking not talking about stereotype as Blacks, but stereotyping everybody else.
Sure.
People I didn't even know, man. So I mean, it really.
Yeah, I was taught a long time ago, man. We've all heard don't judge a book by its cover, right? But the reality of it is it's why the book has the cover. Think about it, man. When you go through Barnes and Noble, right? Yeah. They spend billions of dollars in marketing on the covers. So what I was taught was, you're going to have thoughts regardless, but what you do is you still take the book off the shelf and read a few pages.
I love it, man. I love it. I love it, man. That's all, man. You coming out the gate with knowledge bombing. And let's shift a little bit. What inspired you to begin your journey in sales and why? Talk me through it.
So, that's an interesting question, man, because what inspired me to start is definitely not what inspired me to stay. Two totally different things. I was 19. I was in college, broke like every college kid is most of the time. And I was just looking to find a job to pay rent. And so I went to a temp service. I'm fast on a keyboard. And so I wanted to go do data entry. Just make enough money to pay rent, get through the semester. Off we go. Well, I went to the temp service. I took the test. And they sat me down and they said, well, look, we have, you did very well. We've got a temp job for you that kind of fits what you're looking for. Or there's a sales job for $50,000 a year.
19.
Yeah. And I went, yeah, I'm gonna try sales.
All right.
Lo and behold, man, it was so what motivated me? $50,000 a year at 19.
Right.
It was, ironically enough, man, it was a telemarketing job. Right? Obviously, nobody likes telemarketers, right? And all my friends told me, they're like, you're not gonna last 2 weeks. And they're like, it's not because you can't do it. They're like, you're not gonna. They're like, you're gonna hate it. You're not gonna enjoy it, right? Nobody likes doing this. Well, I spent 1 week in training, right, learning the script. Right. And then after a week, I was ready. I was prepared. And on my very first phone call that I made, right, I hung up on the person because I was so scared. The telemarketers are used to getting hung up on, right?
Right, right.
First sales call of my career, I hung up on the client. All right. So he didn't follow the script.
Right.
He was mean. What do you want? I was like, oh, that's not script. Like, okay. You were supposed to say hi, nice to meet you. Yes, I'll buy.
Right.
7 calls later, though, okay, on my 8th call, the guy listened to me.
Right.
I was hooked. I fell in love with it. I couldn't wait to get back to work the next day. And what I learned was how much I love interacting with people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a challenge in sales, man. You know, there's a challenge there.
Right.
And then I guess what initially got me was falling in love with that challenge.
Mm-hmm.
My ability to try to get somebody to open up, very much so, kind of like when you and I met.
Right.
I love connecting with people.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it back then, right? But for me, that's a rush, man. I love to get to know people, right? And from there, that just grew into me building relationships with my clients, really seeing the difference that a phone call, because I used to call my clients every 4 to 6 weeks. I was selling consumables. They would look forward to my call, man. You know, they get caught up in their day-to-day work, the day-to-day grind, the routine.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, you know, I'd give them a call and they'd light up, you know, for that 15, 20 minutes because we'd have fun. It wouldn't really be a sales call. It would just, I'd call, we'd have fun. If they needed something, great. If they didn't, put them down for a call back later, right? But it was just a break in the monotony of their day. And in turn, man, that made me feel good. And it was just something that, you know, I wanted to continue to do. I have for 22 years.
Now, I want to stay right here for a minute because you said something. You in sales.
Yes.
And you enjoy the fact of building relationships, connecting with people, obviously more than the actual sale.
Yes.
You know, somebody, let's say our Late to Greatness community, some people get into sales and the only thing they focus on is the money. Why would you see that as being bad or being good?
There's a couple of reasons. In my early 20s, right, first in sales, I was just like that, man. I got caught up in, I want to make my commission, I want to close. I grew up an athlete, I'm a competitor, and it's easy if you like those kind of things to find that in sales. What I learned is I matured, right? And I used to teach this to my sales team was if you care about your commission more than you do your client, quit. Last.
Wow.
Okay. The client knows. You know how they always hear dogs can smell fear?
Yeah.
Clients can smell BS.
Yeah.
Okay. And so if you stop focusing on the money, because the money's going to come, right? It's hard not to focus on it, but if you just really sit back and go, if I just do the work, they're there. Yeah. Accept it. It frees you up to then just build the relationship, to just have fun, to really provide a value to the client, to listen before you speak, to understand before you try to become understood. You can assess and evaluate what's the client asking me for, if anything at all. And am I the right fit for that person? Not can I close, but am I the right fit? One of the things I love doing now is telling a client, I'm not who you're looking for in this moment. And then actually referring them to a competitor of mine, right? That could help them in a way that I couldn't that day. In fact, I just had a competitor reach out to me a couple of days ago. She was like, hey, I'm sending you a gift card in the mail, right? Because you've sent me a few referrals in the last couple of months. And it just so happened there was something a client was looking for. I couldn't service. You know, there's enough business to go around, man.
That's awesome.
Take that pressure off. You can enjoy the process. And then the money shows up.
Wow. Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Man, and what you're saying right now, you just took the sting out of sales. You know, I'm not selling, I'm helping people. I'm helping people get what they want.
Well, and one of the questions I used to ask people is, everybody has that stigma. I don't want to be a salesperson. I don't like salespeople, right? And I get it, because we've all been through a pushy salesperson.
Right.
I'm guilty. I've definitely been one over the years.
All right.
Yeah, nobody's perfect. But I would always ask the question: have you ever had a bad sales experience? 100% of the time, the answer is what? Sure.
Yeah.
What didn't you like about it? And they tell me. And then I would ask, have you ever had a really good sales experience? Have you ever gone into a store or whatever the scenario might be, and you had somebody that really did a great job? What did you like best about that? Right?
Yeah.
And then as a salesperson, we get to choose which scenario, right? Which experience do we want to deliver to the client? That's a choice.
Let me ask you this. As far as sales go, what excites you most about what you do?
The people.
Hmm.
Yeah, the people, man. I like to have a good conversation.
Right.
Right. And so it's definitely helping. I really enjoy helping people, but I enjoy smiling and having fun.
Yeah. And
when you get to spend your day talking to people like yourself, like I've never seen you not smile. This is you every time I've ever seen you.
Right. Say it with you.
Right. Who wouldn't want to do this all day?
Right.
And then to make money along the way.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's the people, man.
I don't want to say the name, but man, you recently worked for a company.
Yes.
And as far as sales and training, man, they are very, man, I'm talking, they got everything down packing together. And I want to talk a little bit about that because what I want you to do, because I've actually been to a few of your training courses when you was actually presenting, for the Lead to Greatness audience, whether they're, you're a vice president or a CEO of a company or entrepreneur or just an average person starting off in sales. What sales advice, from that training or from what you learned that you can really, I'm talking, if you can give like 2 or 3 nuggets that you can really give to someone, at those different levels to help them?
Number one, you've got to become a student of your craft. Sales is a skill set, which means anybody that's willing can learn. For those people that are going, oh, it doesn't come natural to me, great. You can learn too. It may take you a little longer, but you can learn.
Right.
And the more you do it, the better you will become, which means you're going to have to go through some failure. You're going to have to get uncomfortable. By the way, if you're uncomfortable, all that is an indicator you're on the right track. But you're going to have to go through some of those things. One of the reasons, though, that by the time you and I had met, you're able to explain the system that I came from and the way that you are. If I'm being honest, man, the way they broke it down was they focused on 3 things: sales skills, people skills, leadership skills. Sales skills, if I'm being honest, that was only 5 to 10% of the time that we spent. Everything else was people skills. Everything else was leadership, man.
Absolutely.
Connect with people. I used to tell this to my guys all the time, my sales team. The way to become the greatest salesperson is don't be a salesperson. Just be you. Just be you.
Yeah, yeah.
I used to tell people all the time, they're like, oh, I'm not good in sales. It's like, you'll be my top person. I was like, you can connect with everybody that's not in sales.
Be yourself. Wow.
Just be a dad. Just be a mom, right? If you're doing something part-time and you're a teacher, be a teacher.
Yeah.
Let them see that.
Yeah.
Just be genuine, be sincere, be there for them. Listen to audios, read your book. There's some great sales material out there, right? You do got to sharpen the saw a little bit, but really just focus on you as a person and the people that you're trying to connect with. If you'll learn people, the sales will come. Yeah. Learn the audience, learn their languages. It's no different than being in a good marriage, man. Communication's key.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Lead to Greatness, I want you to listen to this. If you're in sales, just be you. Just be you. I think, man, that's a knowledge bomb all by itself. Just be you. And this is something that I learned. Every last one of us is technically in sales. I mean, we're selling ourselves in interviews. We're selling ourselves in everything we do. We're selling ourselves as influence. We're selling ourselves as a husband, as a father. I mean, everything is really about sales.
There's no better salesperson in the world than my 4-year-old when he wants chocolate.
That is so true.
there's never been a toddler that says, I don't like sales, because that means they don't get ice cream, right? So we come out the womb, all of us salespeople, man. It's later when we hit with too many no's that we stop asking for things, right? Yeah, man, no matter what you're doing, you know, whether you realize it or not, you know, and really at the end of the day, if you just replace sales with the word influence, we're all influencers. You know, salespeople always say the fortune's in the follow-up, right?
Yeah.
Tell my son no, see how much follow-up you get.
Oh, you looking a lot.
Yeah.
Wow. 4 years old, huh?
Yes, sir.
What is the best advice you have received to help you as a father and as a husband?
As a husband, ironically enough, it came from my younger sister who got married before I did.
Wow.
And by far, she has one of the best marriages of anybody I've ever seen.
Wow.
Far none. There were two things. One was a piece of advice, something she shared with me later after I was already married that she and her husband do. But she told me before I got married, she said, talk about small things when they're small and they'll never become big.
Wow.
Talk about small things when they're small and they'll never become big. And then a couple of years into my marriage, you know, she and I were just talking about how things were going and, you know, yada, yada. And she shared with me one of the things that she and her husband do still after 10 years of marriage. Every Sunday, man, they do a Sunday afternoon check-in where they just, you know, they sit down and they just go, right, wrong, or indifferent. What have I done the last 7 days to make you happy or annoy you? Right?
Wow.
Every 7 days, man. They check in every 7 days. And sometimes it's as short as, we're good. Let's go back to watching the game.
Yeah.
And, you know, other times, man, they may have an hour or 2 hour conversation of whatever's going on in their relationship at the time. You know, but they do that every Sunday, man, religiously. They're real big on that, which I thought was cool. So again, communication is key. You know what, man, as a father, this was not intended to be fatherly advice, but I use it a lot. One of my mentors was actually giving a training on leadership, and he was talking about the different levels of leadership.
Right.
And I know you're probably familiar with John Maxwell's The 5 Levels of Leadership, right? And the lowest level of leadership is positional, which basically says you're going to do what I need you to do or what I'm telling you to do. Why? Because of my title. I have authority over you.
Right.
And he said, if you ever really want to grow as a leader, whenever you're disciplining your kids, do not go to because I said so, because you're a weak leader. And if it's not daily, it's every other day that my son will challenge me, right? Because he's 4, he does what 4-year-olds do. Right. And I find myself, the anger will come up and Gio, and then internally I'll hear, be bigger than my title, be bigger than dad, right? Be the leader that you want him to be one day. And I use it almost every day, man. Not only that, man, if you think about it, I was told in business a long time ago, you can't expect what you don't inspect, right? So if your expectation is to have a great business, you better inspect it early and often.
Yes.
Same thing with the relationships, right? If you expect to have a great marriage, you got to inspect it, consistently. But the other thing I was taught, man, 1 degree off can make a big difference, meaning if you're trying to back out of your driveway, and you're just 1 degree off, you're just going to get out of the driveway, get into the street, and go where you need to go.
Yeah.
Probably not even going to notice it,
yeah.
Right? But if you were in a plane going from Houston to Hawaii, and you were 1 degree off.
Oh, my goodness.
You're not going to see islands.
You would never get the show right.
And the problem is it's so gradual. By the time you notice it, it's too late.
Yeah, I think that's why I hear this happen all the time because my wife and I, we also do marriage coaching, and I hear it all the time, people talking about how they fell out of love. You have to inspect it more often. I think people, they get to the point in their life, man, they kind of drifted out so far when they realize it's like you're lost in it, man. It's like, how do I get back to it? And sometimes, we've helped people get back to it, but I mean, it's also people that it was just so far gone and so much damage, man. It's like both people wasn't willing to keep going at it, man.
You got to be willing to change, right?
You mentioned John C. Maxwell. So what are some great books that you think people should read to help them in their growth as a leader?
As a leader specifically, the one I would start with that I wish I would have had years ago, back when I first was taught to self-develop,
Mhm.
is actually the five levels of leadership.
Mm.
Whether you realize it or not, everybody at some point on a day-to-day basis is a leader. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less, right? If you and your wife go out to eat tonight and the waiter or waitress walks up and they try to, get you to pick something certain off the menu, they're influencing you.
Right.
See themselves as a waiter or waitress, but really in that moment, they're leading the conversation. They're a leader. Once you come to terms with, like it or not, we're all in influencer roles. We're all leading someone somehow, some way.
Yeah.
The real question is, what kind of leader do you want to be?
Mm.
You can't really answer that question if you can't define the term. And I've never found another resource or a book that really broke down leadership for me the way that book did, which is why I think the positional leadership all the way up, right? It's always it sticks with me the way it does, right? Because in any given moment, I can go, what kind of leader am I right now?
And that's pretty cool, man, because I see it the same way.
Okay.
Lead to Greatness community. Listen, get the book. If you haven't read it yet, get the book, The 5 Levels of Leadership by John C. Maxwell. That is your favorite and is also my favorite. What it did for me, it's the same thing, man. I kind of gauge it like I gauge the gas needle in my car.
Right.
I mean, it's like, because I remember when I first started pastoring, I was a positional leader. And man, now I can actually gauge into the fact of what now I'm developing leaders. And so now what it did for me, that book did for me, it gave me something to grow into. Now I have something to chase after. And once I started chasing after it, now I know where I am and I know my next step. Definitely a great book. What else did you get from this book that's helping you?
You got to earn the right to lead.
Yeah.
It puts it in perspective, right? You got to be there for the right reasons.
Right.
You get somebody's permission to lead them. If somebody doesn't like you and trust you, they're not going to lock arms with you, right? So like it or not, you got to take time to build the relationship, and you got to do it for the right reasons, right? It's not so you can get them to do what you want to do. That's manipulative.
Yeah.
You do it so you can motivate, and so you can coach and mentor and build them. And I was watching your podcast, man, with Jacoby. Everybody has the exact same reaction to that guy from the second they meet.
Yeah.
He's the most genuine, selfless person you'd ever meet.
Yeah.
And he never even has to say it. You just feel it, right? Yeah. And so when you can really just earn your way, it makes everything and everyone around you better.
Wow, that's awesome.
People open up to you, they give more, which means you get to give more in return.
Yeah. Zig Ziglar said, if you help
enough other people get what they want, you'll always get what you want.
Zig Ziglar, yes. What is your definition for a great life?
Great question. So my wife and I, ironically enough, we were just talking about this last night, right? When I'm 90 years old, man, I want to be able to look back, right? For me, it's going to be the books I've read, the experiences I've had, and the people I had them with, right? If I've read the right books, means I've fed my mind with the right material, right? I had good food, right? Good nutrients. If I sought out the right experiences, right? We can all get caught up in wake up, go to work, come home, watch TV, repeat. Yeah, to be honest, I watched my dad do that for 30 years. Way to live. So have some adventures, right? Regardless of what they are. And then surround yourself with as many people as you can to have those experiences. And again, not necessarily people that you agree with or see eye to eye with. Make a point to get out of your comfort zone. Have people push you, a little bit and see what you can take from it, right? And then you'll notice over time how your experiences get better. So I want to look back and I want to say I've known some amazing people, some people like yourself, people like Jacoby, right? I want to be able to say, I want my kids to go, or grandkids at that point to go, wow, you've done all that? Right? And when they go, what made you the person that you became? I can go, here's some of the books I read early on that allowed me to open my mind to these things over here along the way.
Yes. Oh, man, you give me some pause breaks, man. I'm trying to. I'm going into it, man. But you really, man, you got some deep thoughts, man. That's really got my brain going.
It's the monster, man. I'm gonna have to give Monster the credit.
And I need to get. I need to get some of that monster, man. Monster is not a sponsor, so Monster, come on, Monster. Come on, Monster.
Well, they should be.
Sponsorship.
They should be.
Come on.
Between my wife and I, we have a 25-year-old, 16-year-old, and then our 4-year-old. So I really get to try to teach at different levels. So one of the things I try to teach is know your GPA. Okay. And here's what I mean by that. You got to have a goal, right? You got to know where you're going.
Wow.
So you got to get a goal. You got to have a plan, and then you got to take action. So if be more, do more, impact the world more. How you got to have a goal as to how you're going to do that. You got to have an action plan as to how you're going to get there, but then you got to start. And then the other thing, I talked to, and when I say my 16-year-old, man, to be fair, the older two are my wives from a past marriage, right? So I just don't do the stepdad thing.
Right.
And unfortunately for me, dad, amazing guy, he's there in the picture, but I just see us as one big unit, right?
That's awesome.
The things I always try to work with her on that she struggles with is being okay to fail. If you want to be great, fail a lot.
Yeah.
Fail a lot because you can't learn without it.
Yeah.
Look forward to failure. Fail forward. Fail with an open mind. Don't just with my son, right? He gets frustrated with some things because he can't do it. I'll tell him, son, control your emotions. Find a different way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just don't quit. Just fail. Fail as much as you can.
Yeah. And that's awesome. Man, that's awesome.
One of the questions that was posed to me years ago, and it was from a mentor that was teaching me about failure, right? He asked me what I thought was an obvious question. He asked, what's the opposite of success? And what do you think I said?
Failure.
He said, no, it's complacency. You'll never find somebody that achieved a goal without failing along the way.
Right.
If you're always trying to avoid failure, you're running away from success.
Right.
He goes, so the opposite of success is complacency.
Wow.
I was kind of in the same training. I was told, if you have a family, if you're uncomfortable, your family will be comfortable. But if you're comfortable, your family will always be uncomfortable. Because they'll be the ones stuck in your complacency.
Oh man, I'm telling you, man, you're gonna have like a World War II thing going on here, man. You're gonna have so many bombs, man. You're gonna get the Knowledge Bomb of the Year award, man.
It just came down from teachings I've gotten from other people, man.
Hey man, I'm telling you, man, you got some bums after bums.
None of it's mine.
Right? If you could get in a time machine and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell him?
Don't stop working out. No.
That's a good one.
On the treadmill? Honestly, man, a couple of things. That's a great question. First and foremost, find a mentor. I didn't really get a mentor until I was after 30 years old.
Wow.
Okay. And that made all the difference in my life. Who I was at 35 was a day from who I even was at 30. And it all had to do with, and I had multiple mentors, right? It had everything to do with them, who they were, where they were going, what they were pouring into me. They taught me how to set goals for the first time. A lot of things, right? Find a mentor as early as you can. The second thing is, man, I didn't start self-improvement until I was probably about 34.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't like to read. I used to say things like, any great book was a better movie. So I would tell my 18-year-old self, man, I would tell myself to read the right books, not just read, but read the right books.
Right.
Outside of being okay with failure, because I wasn't until my mid-30s. The other thing I would probably tell my 18-year-old self is learn the language of money. And that doesn't mean how to make money. That means how to manage it.
Yes.
If you treat it like a language, you and I don't have to think about speaking English.
Right.
Right? We don't think about tying our shoes, things that we just do day to day, right? Well, when you use, but for some reason we use money every day. And how many people fail? And if you treat it like a language, once you learn it, you speak it, it never goes away.
Man, if you had a mic, man, you should drop it right there, man. Oh man, that's good. Wow, that's good, man. If someone wanted to connect with you and what you're doing, where should they go?
Best place is Facebook. I probably should get better about social media, things like that. I'm kind of old school, right? I'm not a tech guy. But Facebook, man, is the best place to reach me.
All right, awesome.
Awesome.
Wow, man. On behalf of the Lead to Greatness Nation, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and adding value to us.
Hey, man, thank you. Definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely. And don't forget to subscribe to Lead to Greatness if this is your first time. And if this podcast was helpful to you, leave a big thumbs up. And also, I want you to check out our Marriage Coach podcast, the podcast with my wife and I. If you're on iTunes, please rate this podcast and leave a review and help get the word out. Again, thank you, Lead to Greatness Nation, for joining us on today. Looking forward to seeing you again on next week. Till then, remember, if you help others reach their greatest potential, together we can change the world. Peace. We out.